Hello, my name's Jem Ayres and welcome to my masterclass on pleasure responsibility. I'm a sex coach and an orgasmic embodiment coach. And I'm running this course because a lot of clients that I hear, female clients, often say they don't know, they have men or partners that don't know what to do with their body. And what I hear from the men, usually of my clients, is that actually they don't know how to turn a woman on. So what this is all about is it's about pleasure responsibility. And I'm an orgasmic embodiment coach. And what that means is living life as vibrantly and with pleasure at the end of your fingertips, because pleasure isn't just for the bedroom, okay? Pleasure is for all aspects of life. How can we be in as much pleasure in any moment during our lives? How can we be at pleasure when we're stood at the bus stop in the rain? How can we be in pleasure when we're at work? How can we be in pleasure when we're sat here watching this? So just take a moment, see how you can readjust your body, see if you can be 10% in more pleasure. And usually that means comfort, because your comfort is really important. And this is what I teach people actually. If we can't even allow ourselves to be more comfortable in any given moment, then if we can't allow ourselves to be more comfortable in any given moment, how can we even think about stepping on the pathway towards pleasure, or then further maybe to arousal? So just take a moment to readjust. What do I need right now? I've got a cushion that I'm going to readjust, and I'm going to have a little sip of tea. Yeah, I feel like that's made me already more comfortable. So have a little readjust and really tune into what can you do right now that will bring you just 10% more pleasure. So I grew up in a feminist household in the 80s, and I was surrounded by a lot of women who had been through some challenges, let's say, and I heard a lot about men not doing their part in the bedroom. And I also remember reading, I believe it was Cosmopolitan back in the day, about how it was a man's job to find your clitoris. And these aren't beliefs that I support. And luckily we've kind of moved out of that angry phase, mostly. So I really like to work with both men and women on how they can be 100% responsible for their own pleasure. Because what happens is we are both responsible for turning ourselves on, and we are both responsible for achieving maximum pleasure, okay? And it's not about me trying to give to someone else. It's about me tuning in. Is this right for me? Is this how I'm sat right now? Right for me? Is this okay if I'm with my partner in the bedroom? Is it what they're doing? Is that okay for me? You know, and how can it be 10% even more pleasurable? So I noticed some people are listening in live. Hi, Eliza, good to see you. And Lucy, so yep, sip of water, blanket on my legs. Sometimes it's so simple to just be 10% more in pleasure. So really give yourselves that time and that opportunity. So here are my steps for how we can be in full pleasure responsibility, okay? Because pleasure is our right, but it's also our responsibility. It's not for someone else to do to us. It's for us to fine tune and to figure out and to steer the way. And also remembering that, that pleasure isn't always going to be this massive crescendo orgasmic experience. It is just in those finer, subtler things. And remembering it's about staying in the moment as well. Because something that we might have really liked yesterday or last week or last time we were with our lover doesn't necessarily mean that that's what we want to do today, or that's going to, you know, I really like beetroot. I had loads of beetroot juice yesterday. I'm kind of done with beetroot juice today. Tomorrow, maybe I'll want more beetroot juice. It's all about tuning in to what is in the moment. And it's the same with our partners. If we're with our partner, don't automatically assume that what we did with them last week that they really enjoyed is going to then kind of tick the same boxes today. And that is okay. It doesn't mean that you've done anything wrong. And it doesn't mean that suddenly they've stopped, being attracted to you or stopped enjoying that thing. It just means that right now it's not their cup of tea. So here are my top tips for pleasure responsibility. Get yourself a notepad for this one. So first thing is figuring out what you might like. And remember what you might like in that moment. We'll come back to these tips. Number 2 is giving yourself permission to really allow yourself to want that thing. This is tough. Next, 3, finding the language. Sometimes we can kind of say it in our heads, but actually tripping over the words to allow them to come out. Before that stage, it's how do we find the language and have the dialogue ready. 4 is ask. Dare yourself to ask. And 5 is, once you've asked, let go. Let go of any expectation of you getting that. So I'm going to go through those points for you, okay? So, first of all, what you might like. Remember, this is about what you might like in the moment, okay? So I've got kind of a list of things, if you like, in my head, of things in life I really enjoy. I enjoy yoga, and I enjoy dancing, and I enjoy singing. But I don't necessarily want to do them every day, okay? And same in the bedroom. I've got a list of things that I really enjoy, usually. But again, I don't want to do them every day, and I'm not ticking them off a to-do list because that's not what we're talking about. Sometimes, if I'm feeling a bit lazy or a bit tired, it's quite nice to have a backup list, I suppose. But let's open up our repertoire. So first of all, it's figuring out what you want in that moment. And I always teach people that it's really important to just tune in. So you can sit comfortably, you can take a breath, you can place your hands somewhere on your body, maybe your heart, maybe your belly, maybe your genitals and your heart. It's really up to you. And you could close your eyes and just take some breaths. And just really say, okay, what do I need right now to be in more pleasure? What do I need right now to be in more pleasure? So allowing myself this space, I realise I've got a bit of a crank in my lower back. So I'm just going to wriggle into that a bit. And actually I don't like my hand on my heart because it's too hot. And I'm already in more pleasure. So in the bedroom, there's no reason why you can't slow things down and just go, wait a moment, let's just take a little break here and figure out what we want right now, or what you want right now. And I teach something called Orgasmic Yoga, and this is the art of self-pleasuring or conscious self-touch. And I do this mostly online, and it's getting people to tune into their own self-touch. It's a solo practice, because actually, if we don't know what turns us on, and if we don't know how to track our curiosity in the moment, then it's really difficult to do that with a partner or to expect them to know what we want. So just be really, really aware to stay in your body in any given moment, okay? And the way you can do that is back to the breath. Because if you're laying there tracking your shopping list because you're not getting what you want in the bedroom, this isn't going to be good for anyone. So back to the breath. What do I want right now? What do I want right now? And the great thing about solo self-pleasure is you can't get it wrong. I mean, you can't get things wrong in the bedroom anyway, but solo self-pleasure is really important because it's important to build a relationship with your body and your pleasure, to figure out what you want and to allow yourself to try new things. And again, you might be surprised because most people learn kind of how to touch themselves or how to masturbate when they're young, maybe when they're teenagers. And that way of touching ourselves might have been great when we were 15. But now that we're older, our bodies might respond in different ways. And people are finding that when my clients are talking to me, they're finding that ways where they used to touch themselves just aren't as satisfactory as they used to be. So I teach orgasmic yoga, which is the art of tuning in really consciously to self-touch and treating touch as a meditation. It's not a thing to get done, ticked off the to-do list, or kind of like an orgasm for release or relaxation, or so that we can get to sleep quicker. It's about how to really meditate and be in the body and expand our pleasure and our repertoire of how to touch ourselves. And if we learn this really important kind of art form of how to be in our body in the moment, then we've got loads of opportunity to be able to explore that with a partner as well. And I believe our pleasure always starts with us, always starts with self-pleasure. And when I get people complaining to me that they're really struggling to connect with their partners, one of the first questions I ask them is, do you still touch yourself? And people don't see it as relevant. People think, well, no, I'm married, I don't need to. Or I share a bed with my partner, so I can't. Or I have children. Or not, not really, it's not something that I do. Because people relate self-pleasure into masturbation, which often can be quite a dirty word. And I kind of want to reclaim that word, masturbation, because what happens is people associate masturbation with teenagers, with being single, or with being desperate. And so, mindful masturbation really is the way forward for when it comes for taking responsibility for our own pleasure. Next up was give permission for yourself to want it. So maybe what you want is to slow down, or maybe what you want is to take a break, or maybe what you want is more lube, or maybe what you want is to change position, or maybe what you want is harder and faster, or slower, and give yourself permission to ask for that thing. Because sometimes actually it's not until we get it that we really go, oh yeah, this is exactly what I wanted. So allow yourself to go, yep, this is something that I want, and my desires and my needs matter, and I am allowed to say this out loud. Next up is about finding the language. It can be really tricky to find the language. I know couples who don't even have words for their bits down there. They still kind of call them their bits down there, which is totally fine. My love, would you mind touching my bits down there? That could be sexy, why not? Don't shame yourself for these things. But it is really important that we find some language. And when we're in the bedroom, sometimes that might not necessarily be the place to practice this stuff. So it might just be saying to your partner over breakfast or over a cup of tea, hey, can we practice some sexy talk or some sexy texting or something like that, so that you open up a dialogue with your partner to allow that kind of language to be used. Because sometimes using words like genitals or vulva or penis can be a bit clinical, and sometimes they're fine, and that's totally fine. It really depends. But actually, have you got a language for asking for different types of touch and what you might like? So opening up that dialogue with your partner before you get to the bedroom. Pardon me. Next up. So you've thought what you might like. For me, it might be, I want to take a bit of a sensuality break. I like sensuality breaks during sex. So it's not just sex. It's stop, and it's slow, and it's have a sip of water, and it's strokes, and it's, kind of warming. We're dropping it down to warm up again. So that's the kind of thing that I might ask for. So I might think, okay, what I might want in this moment is I'm going to have a sensuality break, because that often allows me to think, okay, what else would I like? Then I give myself permission. Oh, but he's really enjoying himself. Am I okay to ask for sensuality break, or am I okay to ask to change something? Yes, you are, because your comfort and your pleasure is important. And usually, if you're in more pleasure and more comfort, then your partner probably will be too. Next up, I've already opened up a dialogue with my partner. We do a bit of sexy texting, and actually I'm really matter of fact about chatting about sexy stuff. So I've already got my language. Great. Then fourth step is ask. How do I say? And for me, it's kind of like, oh, hang on a moment, something needs to change here for me. Or can we just wait a moment while I figure out what I need right now? Or, yeah, this is good for me, but actually, if we just change it a bit, oh, that's better. So asking, you are allowed to ask. Fifth stage is letting go. Letting go of expectation. And this is so important because do you know what we want, our partner might not want. And again, that doesn't mean that you're a bad person for having those desires or that they no longer find you attractive. It just means that maybe they're a bit tired, or maybe they're a bit, bored of that, or maybe they are really enjoying what they're up to, or maybe they've got a bad back, whatever. And remember, these aren't just skills for in the bedroom. These are for skills in life, in the workplace. How will work be more, how can work be more pleasurable? Do you need to ask someone something? Do you need to ask for a promotion? Can you give yourself permission to ask and then let go of what comes back? Okay, these are skills for life, guys. They're just really handy to use them in the bedroom as well. If we learn them in the bedroom, that's kind of where the most challenge is in our life, and our most shame is around our sexuality. So if we learn this stuff around our sexuality, then it generally means that it's a lot easier to put into practice in other areas of our life, with our family and our friends and our work colleagues. So if you get a no back, which is actually, I really don't fancy doing that today because I'm a bit tired or whatever, that's okay. And they don't even need to give you a reason. It might just be, oh, no. And that's okay too. So that you can open up a bit of a negotiation. So, okay, so what can we do instead? Which might be a bit similar. And again, that's more opening up the dialogue, maybe a bit more sexy chat. And that's quite nice. And remember, sex doesn't have to end when you kind of separate. It could be something along the lines of texting the next day. Wow, that was really great last night and I really enjoyed what happened then. How about we try that again, but this time, make some adjustments. These are really great things to be able to open up and prolong our sex life and prolong our repertoire, expand our repertoire of, turn-ons and arousal and what we can ask for. And also, we don't have to rush for kind of like the 10 out of 10 orgasmic experience, because our pleasure and our comfort in the moment might just be really soft, subtle touch, in just having our face stroked and having our hair stroked. And that is okay to ask for that. I quite like sensuality breaks, as I said before. So kind of, somewhere in the middle of sex, it might be like, actually, let's slow it back down. I need some body touch. I need some affection. I need some eye gazing, So letting go of expectation. Hearing a no doesn't mean I love you. Yes, great, Lucy, absolutely. Do you know what? A no can be a full sentence as well. Because sometimes I don't need to give a million excuses to my partner why I don't want to do something. Because that might kind of ruin the moment for me. It's just like, oh no, but can we do this instead? And just see. The thing is, it's all about playful curiosity. How can we form a relationship with our own bodies based on playful curiosity? And then if we've got that in ourselves, we can then take that into a relationship with a partner. How can I be curious about my partner's body without having to get from A to B, or without having to worry about getting it wrong? Because there is no wrong when you've got just playful curiosity and an open mind. So when we are asked for something, and when our partner asks for something, and we're not sure, maybe, our partner might go, actually, I want to change something up. Can we do this instead? It's really great to be able to feel into your body what a yes or a no feels like. So usually I can feel my yeses quite strong. It can come kind of like from my sex or from my gut or from my core, and it's a rah, like a real yes, I want to do that. Sometimes it's a bit slower and a bit subtler, because it might not be a hell yes, it might just be a, oh, I'm a bit nervous to try that thing, but let's see. you know, and taking it slowly. And that's a lot quieter. So also, if it's a no, generally I feel that in my chest, it could be a bit of a contraction, or in my sex, a bit of a whoosh, everything kind of tightens up. It's like, oh no, I don't want to do that. And that's okay to have a no for something that your partner asks for. And it might just be, again, negotiation. It's like, oh, no, that's not what I want to do today. Again, today, because we're staying in the moment. Tomorrow, you might really be into it. Today, it's a no. So, mate, I don't really want to do that today. Can we carry on doing what we're doing, but maybe like this instead? So, again, conversation, dialogue, negotiation. I quite like talking my way through sex. It's like, wow, what you're doing right now. Whew, that's good. Oh, yeah. Oh, a bit awkward. That's okay. People think that it's a bit of a mood killer or something. But actually, again, cheeky, playful curiosity. Okay, this is how I personally learn about my own body when I'm in relationship with another person. Because when I'm with myself, it can be really easy to tune into what I'm into and get sexual pleasure. But when I'm in another person, suddenly you've got their ideas and their wants and needs. And that's when the waters can get a bit muddied, because I can't always hear my own voice loud enough in my head or in my body, which says, yes, this is great, or this could change. Because often, especially I don't want to say especially as women, actually, because men often do this as well. I think we so focus on the other person's comfort and the other person's pleasure that we're not allowing ourselves to tune into us. So how do you feel into your yeses and your nos? Just track it in your body. Where do you feel it? Your heart, your chest. You might get tension in your jaw if it's a no. Or yeses are often easier to hear or feel because they're more pleasurable. So it might be a gut response or like a, kind of a genital response. So we always talk a lot in my orgasmic yoga about staying in the moment and allowing yourself to expand your repertoire, because often we all have habits of self-touch that we know will get us off. That's not necessarily the most pleasure. It might get us to orgasmic potential, may get us straight to orgasm, but kind of have we really enjoyed that journey to orgasm as much as possible? So I'm recommending this book to everyone I can, and it's called Women Who Love Sex. Oh yeah, I'm sure guys you can get a lot from reading this too, because this is about real women's pathways to pleasure, intimacy and ecstasy, and it's about women's fantasies, and it's fascinating to read. It's like, wow, I never thought of that. Oh, that's hot, I'm gonna try it. Oh, that's a bit strange actually, but okay, fair play. And this is quite an amazing book, and I'm starting a book club, and it's called the Empowered Woman's Book Club, because so many women that I coach ask me for book recommendations. And there's part of me that wants to say, oh, learning about sexual self-empowerment, it's not about reading books, but also actually the books are important information. And again, they give us a really great dialogue. But what I want to do with the book club is to really open up a discussion, to release any shame we have around our sexual openness and our pleasure and our fantasies. So I'm hoping this book club will do that. And also, as I'm a sex coach, there will be homework set. I will be sending you off with homework. So we'll be reading a chapter each week, discussing it, and then we'll be doing a bit of group coaching, and I'll send you all off with some homework practices to practice. And you don't have to practice those. It's all very casual and it's all very optional, and you can share as much or as little as you want in the circle. You might just want to read the book and turn up and listen to what other people say, and that's great too. But some people might really drop into it and do all of the exercises and do journaling, because actually the more we allow ourselves to dive into exploring, I think, as a group, I think group work is so powerful. Then we can really rocket our own sexual self-development. So the Empowered Women's Book Club can be found on Facebook or on you can email me at hello@gemayres.co.uk. I'm going to put my email in the comments below. And that starts Tuesday the 11th of June, and it's the evening, and it's in Hove at the Freemasons pub, and they're just drop-in sessions. There's going to be 8 sessions. There's 8 chapters to this book, so 1 chapter per session, and it's drop-in price of £10. And basically it's a really accessible way for people to access my work if they can't afford one-to-one sessions. And I just want to read something from this book that it's really powerful, I think. So Gina Ogden is a sex therapist and teacher and researcher, and she's amazing. And she says, making a commitment to sexual pleasure is a powerful step for women to take in this pleasure-negative society that undervalues women. And do you know what? We have come in leaps and bounds, but really female pleasure still is not discussed at sex education level at school. Outrageous. So it's kind of up to all of us to educate ourselves in our own pleasure, men and women. So unfortunately the book club is only for women. Sorry guys, you'll probably get your turn. There are lots of men's circles out there. But yes, making the commitment to sexual pleasure is a powerful step for women to take in this pleasure negative society that undervalues women. So it's going to be a really powerful group, ladies. And yes, let's open up a dialogue and let's release any of the sexual shame that we have. If you've got any questions or anything like that, do post in the comments below or drop me an email and I can get back to you. Yes, Lucy just wrote that Dr. Gina died last year. Yeah, Gina Ogden, who also wrote The Heart and Soul of Sex. She's written loads of books. She was a legend in the field of sexology, says Lucy, and she's not wrong. She was really amazing. And her research is beautiful, actually, and her writing is timeless and her books are timeless. So yes, it's worth getting your copy and reading chapter 1 before the 11th of June and popping along to the Freemasons pub for a nice empowered women's book club. Mwah. Lots of love, thank you. And remember to stay in pleasure because your comfort is important. See you later.